Welcome to this daily guided meditation practice. This is the Attentive Mind. My name is Nathan, and I'll be guiding you through this meditation practice today. Find yourself a seated position. You want to find a position that is both sturdy and comfortable. You don't want to feel like you're about to fall over, like you're about to get up and do something else either. So having a sense of stability really helps with that. It gives us a sense of being grounded, here to stay for this moment and not the next. You also want to be comfortable because then if your body's in a weird position or you're sitting in an odd way, you might be distracted by how your body feels during the practice unnecessarily. So being comfortable, being sturdy, these two are key ingredients for a good position. You can sit in a chair, you sit in a formal meditation posture, or you can lie down. Just find what works for you. We also keep our eyes open during this practice. But if you have learned to practice with your eyes closed or you feel more comfortable doing that, go ahead. There are no hindrances here. But if your eyes are open, go ahead and just leave the screen alone and drop your gaze gently down below you, looking at the floor, the desk, the carpet, the vinyl, whatever is just below you. We're not staring at a spot in the floor, and we're also not zoned out and blurry. We have a gentle gaze directed softly, yet clearly downwards. You're in a nice, comfortable position, sturdy. Your eyes are either closed or open, gaze directed clearly but softly downwards. There may be a lot of worries or things that need to get done. There may be aspects of your personality and your behavior that you'd wish to change. And it may be all daunting and frustrating for you because there's a mountain to climb, a future to accomplish, a thing to get to. And it almost feels as if we won't be happy until these things are achieved. We won't be well or content. Notice if this is true for you, that there's some hill to climb in the future, and this moment is simply a stepping stone on that hill. It's true for many people, but this attitude towards life is really why a lot of people struggle to find meaning and happiness and well being. Because they use their life as a means to an end rather than living their life here and now, leaning constantly to the future and never satisfied with this moment, which is the only place we exist. So, as we begin this practice, let's begin with acceptance. Accepting the way things are right now. Not trying to change them, not trying to change something about ourselves, just accepting this moment as it is. So you might notice how thoughts don't know how to do this because they're always contemplating and they're always trying to change this moment. It's a result of evolution. It keeps us alive, but it makes us unhappy. Rather, it makes us unsatisfied. As long as we pay attention exclusively to thinking, our lives are unsatisfactory. So, this practice isn't about shutting off our thoughts or trying to change our minds or trying to clear our minds, even. It's about leaving thinking alone. So, instead of paying attention to this next thought, notice your breath as it rises and falls in its own gentle rhythm. And see if you can just notice the sensations of the breath without getting lost in this next thought. And if you're normal, I'm probably catching you planning something or worried about something else, leaning again to the future, but rather paying attention closely to the thoughts that are leaning towards the future. But this is okay. This is normal. So when you notice that you're lost in a thought and the breath is no longer in your attention, simply return. Return again and again to the breath. Not focusing or forcing, just gently returning, rising and falling. Stop planning, return to the breath. Relax. Just return to the breath. Breathing. Remember that thoughts don't have to be quiet or to shut off for us to notice the breath. We're not waiting for an experience. We're not looking for anything. We allow our thoughts to come and go. We notice the breath as thinking happens, not in lieu of thoughts. Thinking happens, and the breath is also seen. But the contents of the thoughts are not in our vision. The breath itself occupies our attention. Not a focus, not a concentration, a light awareness of breathing, gently rising and falling. Wake up. Wake up from thinking. Return to breathing, rising and falling for no purpose, no reason, no leaning into the future. Simply here. That's all. We're not waiting for the end of this session. We're not going to be saved by the bell. This is more future thinking. Learn to return here. And if you feel a sense of frustration, that's okay. Allow the frustration, but remain here. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do, and no one to become. So be here and completely rest. All right, you can look at the screen. Man, I'm getting old. All these joints are popping. That's it's a good thing though to get old. Because the older I get, and especially with this practice, the more I learn to stop seeking the future so much. Because it actively makes me unhappy. In fact, I think this is true for most of us. We feel this sense of getting to the future, especially if you're in your 30s or late 20s. Things really need to come together. And it can be really important to try to get your future secure. And it's a good thing. But what about now? There's just this, Alan Watts said this a long time ago. I brought him up, I think, yesterday. I'm going to bring it up again. He's a philosopher who brought Eastern ideas to the United States in the 50s and 60s and 70s. But the first time I heard him, he was making this comment about how when we go to school, the whole idea of going to school is to work hard to get to the second grade. You go to first grade and get to second grade, and then you work hard and get into middle school, and then you work even harder and you get to high school, and the thing is always coming. There's always the payoff. It's always somehow in the future. You work and you go up and up and up the ladder. You get to high school, then you get out to college. And after you graduate college, you get into a job, still meeting these quotas, still meeting these demands from your boss, and looking, and the goody thing is happening. You get a house, you get a wife, you get kids, you get a husband, whatever. Always seeking the future. Checking off these boxes. And it's always this idea that the good is happening in the future. And he says, I guess back then, when you're 45, he said, by the time you're 45 years old or whatever, you sit back and you realize, I've arrived. Everything I've been working for, I've achieved. But I feel the same as I've always felt. Hence the midlife crisis. And he says, we feel that way because you've been fooled. Because you're always thinking that the goodness of life is going to come at some moment in the future. And it doesn't. And he ends with the quote I think I said yesterday, which is, you can't live at all unless you can live fully now. And it's silly too, because if you want to take care of your future, let's say you want to be a better person, you want to be happy in the future, you want well-being in the future, how is that future made? It starts now. You can never be happy in the future. You can't be well in the future unless you can be well now. You learn to be here and well, because this moment is what makes the future. But the funny thing is that it's always now. The future never comes. It's always this. So the quality of your life now is what matters, not the quality of your life tomorrow. Now, don't take that too seriously. I'm not saying give up the future and don't make plans and don't be smart about it. That's not what I'm saying. But our attention should begin here, because this is where we live. It doesn't mean get super drunk and screw up your life because tonight we only live and tomorrow doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. But as Alan Watts says, you can't live at all unless you can live fully now. So we live from this place and enjoy this time. Plan for the future, make good decisions, but really enjoy this, because this is where it is. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for showing up. And as always, without exception, I'll see you tomorrow.